Thousands of teachers flooding into Wisconsin's state capitol, hoping to stop the governor's plan to cut their collective bargaining rights. But they're up against thousands of others who support the governor and say the cuts are a small price to pay to solve the state's $3.6 billion budget shortfall over the next 2 years.
Dr. Jake Jacobs is one Wisconsin high school teacher who agrees with the governor's plan. Dr. Jacobs, nice to have you on the show. I can't imagine there's too many of you out there this morning in Madison, Wisconsin.
Looked like it.
Does it feel weird to be a bit of a black sheep?
Yeah, it feels profoundly weird to be a bit of a black sheep.
Why do you support what the governor's doing?
Bottom line is the state of Wisconsin is $3.6 billion in debt. We've got to do something about it.
Of course, you are not in the union, and here's the proposed cuts or additions that he wants to make, depending on how he wants to see this. Wants to raise what they're paying on pensions from 0.2 to 5.8%, what they kick in towards their health care coverage from 4 to 6%, all the way to 12.6%. Seems like the teachers are willing to give a little bit in that regard, but they're not willing to give when it comes to giving up their collective bargaining rights. Is it fair, since you are not part of the union, to really take a side here?
Excuse me, to take a what?
Well, you are not part of the union, correct? So you wouldn't have to give up anything.
Well, the fact of the matter is, ultimately, the civil service laws in the state of Wisconsin will apply to protect my rights, and so that's what I'm putting my faith in.
Dr. Jacobs, you've been a teacher for 20 years. You teach U.S. history. Does that offer for you some unique perspective looking at what's happening currently there in your state?
Oh, absolutely. Yes, this is a historical event in American history as far as that goes. What happens here will happen across the country.
There are a lot of people who say the governor's overreaching here, that it's okay, we'll talk about health care, we'll talk about pension, but when it comes to collective bargaining and that ballot initiative, which they'd have to come back every year, that's overreaching. What do you say to those people?
So once again, it boils down to civil service laws that have been in the state 54 years before collective bargaining was in the state of Wisconsin in 1959. It goes back to 1905 in Wisconsin history. So the bottom line is something needs to be done. The unions have overreached when it comes to spending money, and the governor is sincere in trying to balance the budget in the state of Wisconsin. Something has to give, and I'm willing to sacrifice with the money that I get, and I'm willing to allow there to be a downsizing of collective bargaining power in the state of Wisconsin.
The particular issues aside, how do you feel as a teacher about your fellow teachers who are not teaching, who are calling out sick, and who are in some cases, as we've seen, getting fake doctor's notes? When it comes to strictly the tactics, how do you feel about what those teachers are doing?
Well, we're supposed to be role models in the classroom, so I find it profoundly unethical. I have to be defensive for my own colleagues where I teach at Winneconne High School. There's been nothing like that at my school. Unfortunately, there's been a lot of that in the Kimberly District, the Appleton School District, and other parts of the state here in Madison and in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. But my colleagues have not done that, so I admire them for their stance in that.
Absolutely.
All right, Dr. Jake Jacobs, we appreciate you waking up early with us and telling us your side of this story.
A history teacher
Thank
living
you very
history.
much.
Thanks, Jake.